last week our preface to the Nectar of Devotion, and as we discussed last week, preface is one of the most Prabhupada makes a very important contribution and points in that preface, and today we'll look at the introduction, and the test that we plan to do, we'll do it in the end, because otherwise already it's already 11 o'clock. So introduction is the beginning of the actual beginning of the book, where Prabhupada makes references to the original Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu of Rupa Goswami, and he focuses the discussion mainly on one verse of the original Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So as we know the history, going a little back to the history of our evolution of philosophy, between the time of Lord Krishna's disappearance and the advent of Lord Chaitanya, there has been a lot of philosophical changes. So Krishna spoke the Gita 5,000 years ago, and he described pure devotion, what is ultimate surrender, what is pure devotion service, ananyas chintayanto mam, he said mam, what is that, manmana bhava madbhakto sarvadharman parityaj, all those things, and he clearly mentioned what exactly is pure devotional service. But after Krishna's disappearance, there is a book called Endless Love by Ravindra Swarup Prabhu, Prabhupada disciple, and he gives a nice history of these 5,000 years between Krishna's disappearance and Lord Chaitanya's appearance. Spiritual strategies for the age of iron, that's the title of the essay. And he talks about how after Krishna's disappearance, there was an immediate decline of religious principles. So within maybe 100, 200 or maybe at the max 500 to 1000 years, everything got spoiled, everything got disappeared. People forgot the goal of life, people forgot what real devotion is unto Krishna, unto Lord Vishnu, and in the name of Vedic scriptures, in the name of religion, people started committing all kinds of irreligious activities. Kali Yuga had begun, and the real force of Kali Yuga was visible in society. So there were Brahminical class who would slaughter animals, slaughter cows in the name of the Vedic scriptures and justify their killing and meat eating. So they would say this is mentioned in the Vedas, cow slaughter, and we can eat them, we can kill them. And it reached to such a high proportion that there was an emergency incarnation appeared. Who was that? The Lord Buddha came. That was 2500 years ago, 500 BC. And his main purpose was to put an end to the entire slaughter business. And his philosophy was ahimsa. No killing, no violence to any living entity. And ahimsa paramo dharmo, that was the goal. You don't have to worry about God and other things. Just follow non-violence. That is the highest religious principle one can follow. So that was there, that was done, and he achieved the purpose. Everyone became, so slaughter was put to an end, and everyone embraced Buddhist philosophy. The whole India, and India became a Buddhist country. But one disadvantage of Buddhism was it rejected the authority of the Vedas. It didn't accept Vedas as the ultimate word of God, authority and guide to all humanity. So then, so the restoration has to be done. So Krishna spoke the original pure teachings, and there was an immediate decline to the lowest level. And then if everything has to be revived back to its original purity, it can't be done immediately. It's like a person who met with an accident, a healthy person suddenly met with an accident and is in coma and is hospitalized. And how do you bring him back to consciousness? Slowly, he's given medicine, he's given anesthesia, and slowly, it takes time. Over a period of maybe days or weeks, he will come back to proper health. So similarly, if society is considered as a body, then Buddhism was like you knock him down. First put him in coma, put him in anesthesia. And then making him come out of the anesthesia and then getting him back to health takes a lot of time. So similarly, Buddhism was there. It did the immediate necessary operation. But then it gradually, the society has to be revived back and the pure original teachings have to be given back again to society. Then comes Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya came and then he gave the philosophy of monism. Monism means God is ultimately impersonal and everyone can be God, that Mayavad philosophy. But the advantage of Shankaracharya's teaching was it brought back the authority of the Vedas. And people had again faith in the Vedic scriptures. And it drove away all the Buddhists out of India. And Buddhism, the Buddhists got settled in all neighboring Southeast Asian countries, China, Tibet and Japan, all those countries. Still they are the predominant Buddhist countries in Asia, in the world now. And India hardly has any Buddhism. But still Mayavad is there, pure teachings are still not revived. So then comes another Acharya, that is Ramanuja. That was about, what time? 11th century, something around that. Ramanuja added one more component. He added, his philosophy was Vishishta Advaita. And he brought back the worship of Vishnu and devotion to Vishnu, service to Vaishnavas, all those elements of pure devotion he taught to the masses. But still that completely Mayavad thing was not eliminated. There was still a doubt that maybe we are God. Those things are there. So Madhvacharya comes and then he smashes all Mayavad philosophy and then he introduces the theory of Dvaita Advaita, Shuddha Dvaita, pure duality. God is different, you are different, and there is no similarity between the two. So that was another extreme, a little extreme. And finally the stage is set for Lord Chaitanya to come. And then he introduces the Achintya Veda Tattva, the philosophy of simultaneous oneness and difference. Inconceivable and simultaneous oneness and difference. So during this period of time was essential. 5,000. So Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago and then this happened, Lord Chaitanya appeared 500 years ago. It took 4,500 years almost to revive the whole teachings and understand, make the teachings available to human society, what pure devotion is, pure surrender is, what is the ultimate goal of life. So before Lord Chaitanya's appearance, the understanding was, the devotion was all mixed. Devotion to demigods, devotion to other forms of gods, semi-gods, all pseudo-gods, everything was there. And worse was, there was even fabricated devotion, speculated devotion, all unwanted theories. So there was that urgent need for Lord Chaitanya to come and establish. If you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, you see Advaita Acharya crying out, seeing the pathetic condition of Navadvip society and wondering when will Krishna come and re-establish the teachings of pure devotion. So Lord Chaitanya personally, by his example he taught, but he didn't leave out any big instructions. All he left was the 8 verses of the Shastri. And he instructed his disciples, especially the 6 Goswamis, to write books and devotional literature so that people can understand what exactly pure devotional service is, the Vaishnava etiquettes and all those details. So Rupa Goswami wrote the book Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and he condenses all teachings of Lord Chaitanya and makes the teaching so simple and available for everyone. So that's the reason he writes the introduction. Prabhupada refers to that verse of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is the prime focus of the whole book. The famous verse of Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadina Vratam. So in the introduction to the Nectar of Devotion, before the focus is shifting to the Anya Bilashita verse, Rupa Goswami talks about, he gives Mangalacharan. Mangalacharan means, so if you open the introduction, the first 2 pages consists of Mangalacharan. There are around 7 paragraphs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 paragraphs in the 2 pages. The first 6 paragraphs talk about Mangalacharan. 7th paragraph is an overview of the whole book. Prabhupada is summarizing the contents of the whole book. Actually, Rupa Goswami does that, and Prabhupada is giving a summary. And from page 3 of the introduction onwards, it's description of the Anyavilashita verse. And we will hopefully, if we have time, we should be able to finish the introduction today. But before we go to the introduction, let us analyze and study the Mangalacharan. So, Mangalacharan is supposed to fulfill 3 objectives. What are they? It explains the objective of the book. It's there in the notes also, if you open the notes. It should clearly explain the objective of the book. And it offers obeisances to the Lord, the Guru, and the devotees in general. And it offers benedictions to the readers. So the first paragraph of the introduction explains the objective of the book. Second and third is offering obeisances to the Lord. Third and fourth and fifth also, I think, offering obeisances to Guru and Vaishnavas, and the last 6th paragraph is offering obeisances to is invoking benedictions, offering benedictions to the readers. 7th is the overview of the whole book. So there is another verse. The first verse is referring to, which is not important to memorize. Actually, he was supposed to give me a list of verses that you need to memorize, 6 or 7 verses from the Nectar of Devotion. So this verse is interesting. Which one? Is there? Really? Which page?
81.
Acha.
Page number 81.
Which one? You didn't get? Oh, you'll get it. So 81.
Yeah, important verses.
Yeah. So how many are there? Around 10?
फर्स्ट टू पेज ये कि बाकी आगे भी है
सब लग रहा है.
थोड़ी होगा
I thought only 5 or 6. How many?
नहीं आगे भी अदर इम्पोर्टेंट
है काफी.
वो इसमें से बता
जब तक वो चार्ट स्टार्ट नहीं हो रहा तब तक नहीं हो रहा.
ऐसा नहीं है यू विल टेल अस
Okay. So the first paragraph of the introduction refers to a verse. Yeah, how many? 21 verses. So I'll write the verse, which is interesting, and और ये हिल सकता है ना? Okay, this is a verse, I think the first verse of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It is quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita also. This is objective of the book, Akhila Rasamrita Murti. No, this is not a repetition.
No, not this one. I'm talking about
अखिल रसामृत मूर्ति प्रसृमर रुचिरुद्ध तारका पाली कलित श्यामा ललितो राधा प्रेयान विधुर जयति. So this is the first paragraph referring to, and here Rupa Goswami is defining the book's objective. So let us read. Who is going to read? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, please.
Invoking auspiciousness. Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of all causes, the reservoir of all rasas or relationships, which are called neutrality, passive adoration, servitorship, friendship, parenthood, conjugal love, harmony, compassion, fear, chivalry, costliness, wonder and devastation. He is the supreme attractive form, and by his universal and transcendental attractive features, he has captivated all the gopis, headed by Taraka, Palika, Shyama, Lalita and ultimately Srimati Radharani. Let his Lordship's grace be on us, so that there may not be any hindrance in the execution of this duty of writing the nectar of devotion impelled by his divine grace, Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada.
So Akhila Rasamrita Murti, Krishna is described as the reservoir of all rasas. So it has two characteristics. Krishna is the reservoir of all rasas, and Krishna is the attractor of all the gopis. That's why he is known as Akhila Rasamrita Murti. And Prabhupada here talks about 5 gopis in the verse and in the translation also. Taraka, Palika, Shyama, Lalita and Radharani. So our Acharyas explain these 5 gopis are categorized into 3. Taraka and Palika, by his radiantly attractive features, Krishna subjugates or brings them under control. Whom? Taraka and Palika. He absorbs Shyama and Lalita by taking them into his inner circle. And Radharani is the dearest to Krishna. He becomes her submissive lover. Radha Priyan. So Taraka and Palika, he controls them. Shyama and Lalita, he absorbs them. And Radharani, he becomes subordinate to her. So, but Krishna is the center of all the relations. And here Madhuri Rasa is chosen for defining Krishna's sweetness and his quality of being the reservoir of all rasas, which means it includes all other rasas also. So attractor through gopis is one feature of being Akhila Rasamrita Murti, and another is Krishna is the reservoir of all rasas. And Prabhupada compares, our Acharyas compare Krishna in Vaikuntha planets like as judge, a judge who is very formal and official, and he is very strict in his dealings. But as soon as he comes home, his official nature is given away, and he has friendly dealings with his friends. He has a loving relation with the parents and his wife and children. That mood at home is quite different from the mood in the office. So Vishnu or Narayan expansions of Krishna are like God at office, and Krishna in Vrindavan is like God at home. In home your real sweetness comes out. So Narayan performs the creationary role of God, and Krishna is in Vrindavan is enjoying the sweetness of relation. So this we will see in detail in the later sections of the first and second chapter. Let us move to the second. So
I just wanted to read that.
Yeah, please, no problem. Anyone can interrupt. Yeah.
No, you complete the sentence.
I finished.
Then I can. Then I can. No, I wanted to read the second.
Oh, acha. Yeah, agreed. Please. Paragraph 2.
This verse is given in this book.
Which one? Which book? It's there in the book? Memorization में है? अच्छा ठीक है. Okay. So text paragraph 2.
Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada and of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, by whose inspiration I have been engaged in the matter of compiling this summary study of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. This is the sublime science of devotional service as propounded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 500 years ago in West Bengal, India, to propagate the movement of Krishna consciousness.
So Rupa Goswami is offering obeisance to his spiritual master, that is Lord Chaitanya. Here Prabhupada takes the opportunity to offer his obeisances to Lord Chaitanya and Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, by whose inspiration he writes, I am engaged in this task of writing various books. So this is offering obeisances to Lord. Next paragraph is offering obeisances to Sanatana Goswami. Yes. Paragraph 3.
Srila Rupa Goswami begins his great book by offering his respective obeisances unto the Sri Sanatana Goswami, who is his elder brother and spiritual master, and he prays that Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu may be very pleasing to him. He further prays that by residing in that ocean of nectar, Sri Sanatana Goswami may always feel transcendental pleasure in the service of the Radha Krishna.
So although Sanatana Goswami was elder and Rupa Goswami considered him as a spiritual master, Sanatana Goswami also considered him as a spiritual master, Rupa Goswami. Just because Rupa Goswami happened to join Lord Chaitanya's mission before before Sanatana, because he escaped we heard today morning, he escaped the prison house and joined Lord Chaitanya. So among the 6 Goswamis, Rupa Goswami was considered the chief, the leader of all the 6 Goswamis. Yes, next paragraph is important. It gives a shark analogy. Yes, who is reading?
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the great devotees and acharyas, holy teachers, who are compared to sharks in the great ocean of nectar, and who do not care for the various rivers of liberation. Impersonalists are very fond of merging into the Supreme, like rivers that come down and merge into the ocean. The ocean can be compared to liberation, and the rivers to all the different paths of liberation. The impersonalists are dwelling in the river water, which eventually comes to mix with the ocean. They have no information, however, that within the ocean as within the river, there are innumerable aquatic living entities. The sharks who dwell in the ocean do not care for the rivers which are gliding down into it. The devotees eternally live in the ocean of devotional service, and they do not care for the rivers. In other words, those who are pure devotees always remain in the ocean of transcendental loving service to the Lord and have no business with the other processes which are compared to the rivers that only gradually come to the ocean.
So this standard analogy given by impersonalist philosophers of rivers merging into the ocean. They compare living entities with the rivers and God with the ocean. So the goal of life is the rivers are always continuously moving towards the ocean. And one day, when you attain perfection, you realize that you are out of illusion, you come out of illusion, then you understand that you are non-different from the ocean. You are non-different from God. Because the river merges with the ocean and becomes the ocean. Right? It becomes a part of the ocean. So there is no separate identity between river water and ocean water. It's all one and the same. That's how these people, these philosophers have throughout history and even now continue to bewilder people about the separate identities between God and living entities. And Prabhupada would hammer this point repeatedly, continuously in his purports and lectures, always making sure that the distinction is always maintained. Never ever the living entities become God, or God falls down from his position and becomes an ordinary living entity. That never happens. God is always God and living entities always living entities. The union or the identity becomes one in spirit, not in terms of quantity. The drop of water and the ocean water comparison always used to give. So quantity is always going to remain different, but the spirit of mission, spirit of service will make them one. In that sense, both the living entity and God are one. So in this example, the shark example, Rupa Goswami compares devotees to sharks. And what are the characteristics of sharks? They don't come out of, they first of all live deep inside the ocean. And they have nothing to do with the rivers. They never ever come to the rivers just to test what's life in rivers like. They don't come like that. And they are deep inside the ocean, and they reject the rivers. And they are never caught in the fisherman's net, sharks, because they are too deep, enjoying the river, the ocean water and the nectar inside the ocean. So devotees are like that. The ocean of devotion is so sweet and unlimited that they never care to experience what the river water would be. And they are deep inside, diving. This is the nature of a pure devotee. He is so absorbed in devotion, the nectar of devotion, that he has no time to understand what his material pleasures are, what this mundane rus is there. We living entities who are just practicing devotees are liable to experience. Maybe there could be some pleasure here, because we have not yet tasted the real nectar of devotion. We keep oscillating between the pleasures of this world and the pleasure of devotional service. So our experience of devotional pleasure is not constant. It breaks in between. Or in fact, occasionally we derive some spiritual devotional pleasure. Most of the times we are experiencing material pleasure only. And that's what keeps us away from experiencing real devotional nectar. So real pure devotees are like stars. They are totally submerged in the ocean of nectar, and they have no time they don't care about experiencing material pleasure. And they reject the rivers, and they are never caught. No matter how much you try to tempt them, allure them with material pleasures, they will never be tempted. They will continue to remain inside the ocean. So as devotees, in the future verses we will find, for a sadhaka especially, the material pleasures come in the form of, we may have rejected our 4 sinful activities, the 4 regulatory principles may be following, but subtle pleasures like some political news and sports, and these are not gross violations of regulatory principles, but then we derive some pleasure, some kind of happiness, what is news happening, or some gadgets. We devotees also in the ashram also get affected. Some new gadget comes up, and check out the new features, and some programs. Those are into computers and software. They want to new laptops and other things are coming up. It can be anything. We might be deriving pleasures through any of these material information or features that may not be directly connected to Krishna. And then that means we are like trying to enjoy the rivers, the river outside the ocean, not able to experience the real ocean. So, and those are the characteristics of pure devotees. And Rupa Goswami is offering his obeisances to the Vaishnavas in the Mangalacharan. Let us see the fifth paragraph. So each paragraph is referring to the verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in the same order. First paragraph to the first verse, fifth paragraph to the fifth verse, till sixth. Yes, fifth paragraph.
Here Rupa Goswami prays to his spiritual master Srila Sanatana Goswami for the protection of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of the pure nectar of devotional service, from the argumentative logicians who unnecessarily meddle in the science of service to the Lord. He compares their arguments in logic to organic eruptions in the midst of the ocean. In the midst of the ocean, organic eruptions can do very little harm, and similarly those who are against devotional service to the Lord and who put forward many philosophical theses about the ultimate transcendental realization cannot disturb this great ocean of devotional service.
It seems volcanic eruptions happen. I'm not aware of this. Volcanic eruptions happen inside the ocean, but the ocean is not disturbed, and the ocean continues in its state. Sharks living in the ocean continue their life, and the oceans can do no harm. So arguments, various atheistic arguments, impersonalistic arguments, non-devotional arguments that challenge the philosophy of pure devotion. Many people will keep putting forward these arguments. Whenever devotees practice pure devotional life, especially those who are preachers, those who are interacting with non-devotees, we experience this. So many challenges come up, challenging our practice of pure Krishna consciousness, pure devotional life. And if our faith is not strong, if our sadhana is not strong, we are likely to get affected by their challenges, and we may even start doubting whether my practice is bona fide, is authentic. So, but if we dive deep into the ocean, all these volcanic eruptions are not going to affect us, and we will be swimming and enjoying the nectar of the ocean. So, next paragraph, last paragraph, which is invoking benedictions for the reader. Yes.
The author of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Sri Rupa Goswami, very humbly submits that he is just trying to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, although he humbly thinks himself unfit for this work. That should be the attitude of all preachers of Krishna consciousness movement, following in the footsteps of Sri Rupa Goswami. We should never think of ourselves as great preachers, but should always consider that we are simply instrumental to the previous acharyas, and simply by following in their footsteps, we may be able to do something for the benefit of suffering humanity.
So Rupa Goswami is offering his benedictions for the reader, and he wants the readers to relish the nectar of devotion, and that's what he's hoping after writing this book and offering it to the readers. Prabhupada makes this point of the attitude of a preacher. What is that? We should never think of ourselves as great preachers. We should always consider that we are simply instrumental to the previous acharyas, and simply by following in their footsteps we may be able to do something for the benefit of suffering humanity. This is the ideal mood of a preacher devotee. Not that I am superior, I can bypass my previous acharyas and speak something new, speak something different, not in line with the parampara. There is this pastime in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about Vallabh Bhatt conversing with Lord Chaitanya. Familiar with the story? Vallabh Bhatt and Lord Chaitanya. Vallabh Bhatt comes proposing that I want to give a commentary. I have written a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam and I want to show it to you, to Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya is least interested because he knows it's not strictly in parampara. So he tries to avoid him, but then he keeps on insisting, I want to read it out, I want to show you. So he said, then he says, somehow he forces himself and he says, this is a commentary which I have written different from Sridhar Swami's commentary. Sridhar Swami happens to be the original commentator on Srimad Bhagavatam, and he indirectly tells Lord Chaitanya that this is something I have newly written, something different, something that even Sridhar Swami didn't speak on. So Lord Chaitanya, as soon as he hears that, he is put off. He says, someone who doesn't follow Sridhar Swami, I consider him to be a prostitute. That's how he compares him, and he is least interested. So Vallabh Bhatt is hurt. He feels, what is this? And finally, after a lot of conversation, he understands that Lord Chaitanya is humbling me. He doesn't appreciate my non-devotional commentary, not in line with parampara. And finally, he becomes a part of his confidential associates. So anything that is, so this is the mood of a preacher. He is not interested. He doesn't want to present anything which he doesn't try to prove that he is better than his previous acharyas. Whatever he says or speaks or writes or comments is in line. He may present it in an innovative way. No, like that old wine in new bottle. That can be done, but the essence of the teaching should be in line with the parampara. So that's what Prabhupada is advising all the devotee preachers. So that's the Mangalacharan, defining the objectives, offering obeisances to Lord, Guru and the Vaishnavas, and invoking benedictions to the reader. This is Mangalacharan. Then Prabhupada and Rupa Goswami give a summary of the whole syllabus that we are going to study. So in page number, you open the charts in the end. Page number 80.
Oh, there is no page number 2.
Oh, not there, huh?
No.
After page 89, you have all the charts. The first two charts we saw last time. Got it? Mangalacharan, it has 3 objectives. Introduction has Mangalacharan, contents and definition of pure devotion service. Next page is Mangalacharan, defining the objective of the book. Krishna is the objective. Akhil Rasamrita Murti, reservoir of all pleasure, attractor of gopis. He is compared to a judge, Narayan versus home in Vrindavan. Subjugates, Taraka Palika, Shyama Dalita, Radharani, all those things. Offering of obeisances and benediction, that is Mangalacharan chart. Contents, now this we will look at. So, we already saw a brief overview of content last time. So the ocean is divided into 4 parts: eastern, southern, western and northern. Our syllabus is only the eastern part, containing 19 chapters. Each ocean part has multiple waves. Eastern part has 4 waves. So southern part is overview of rasas. Just a brief overview. What are the different rasas a living entity shares with Krishna? Western is primary rasa, the 5 primary rasas: Shantaras, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya and Madhurya. The Western ocean is completely about that. 5 waves. Northern is secondary rasas. There are 7 secondary rasas besides the 5 primary one. So every living entity has one primary relationship with Krishna, and out of the 7 secondary, he has a few. So primary rasa remains standard, remains constant. But within the primary rasa, he exchanges relationship with Krishna in one of the 7 secondary rasas. So that secondary rasa explanation is given in the Northern Ocean. It's an entire section. It also contains what is mixing of rasas, and it also contains distorted rasas, rasabhas, improper mixing of rasas. So this improper mixing is done by usually sahajiyas and other non-devotional, it's deviant philosophers. So that also is there explained in the final section of the book. So if you read the Nectar of Devotion final chapters, this improper mixing of rasas and distorted rasas are explained. But that's not a part of our syllabus. So Eastern Ocean has 4 waves. It's also called as varieties of devotional service, that section. First wave is general description of devotional service, Samanya Bhakti. General characteristics of devotional service will be explained here. Introduction and chapter 1 form Samanya Bhakti. Chapters 2 to 16, Sadhana Bhakti. Devotional service in practice. Pure devotional service in practice. How to practice pure devotional service. We are not perfected beings, so we are practicing. But our goal is pure devotional service. So chapters 2 to 16 explain what all items we need to do, what all we need to follow, the do's and the don'ts and the different limbs like Tulsi worship, deity worship, chanting of the holy name, avoiding offenses, avoiding dham aparad, nam aparad, seva aparad. All these things are detailed in chapters 2 to 16. We will see the breakup also again. Chapters 17 and 18 is Bhava Bhakti. So if you know, the pure devotional service is divided into 3 parts. One is Sadhana Bhakti, practice, devotional service in practice. Perfection is Prema Bhakti, pure love. And in between, the transition from Sadhana Bhakti to Prema Bhakti, there is one stage in between called Bhava Bhakti, devotional service in ecstasy, where you are not exactly practicing, but you have not yet reached perfection. That stage is called Bhava Bhakti. So 2 chapters are dedicated to Bhava Bhakti, 17 and 18. And last chapter 19 is Prema, pure devotional service in pure love of God. So next chart. Some are general symptoms. What are the symptoms of one who starts practicing pure devotional service? It's an overview. So chapter 2 to 6, Sadhana Bhakti and Vaidhi Bhakti. So the distinction, there are 2 types of Sadhana Bhakti. So Vaidhi Bhakti is explained. Just following the rules and regulations. Not out of love, out of force, out of fear. You follow pure devotional service. That is Vaidhi Bhakti. What are the eligibility criteria for Vaidhi Bhakti? That is explained in chapter 3. 4 additional characteristics. People who practice pure devotional service, they reject the desire for bhukti and mukti, the desire for material enjoyment and the desire for liberation. 5th is how pure devotional service is self-sufficient. You don't need any external support to practice pure devotional service. You don't need pious credits. You don't need a proper varnashram system, which is all absent today. You don't have unlimited pious credits in your karma bank account. Nothing is there. Still you can perform. Even the lowest person, no matter what his qualifications are, how disqualified he may be in material calculation, anyone can practice pure devotional service, irrespective of caste, creed, gender, economic situation, whatever, education qualification. Everyone is qualified to practice pure devotional service. So how it is self-sufficient and independent of any external material qualification. That's chapter 5. Chapter 6 is a list of items, 64 items of devotional service. First 20 are do's, next 20 are don'ts, and there are 44 other items which form various limbs of, like taking Charanamrit, all those things, offering parikrama, visiting a dham. These are all part of the 64 items. First 20 are don'ts, do's. Next 20 are don'ts. So that is chapter 6. 20 items are primary. First 10 are do's. For 11 to 20 is don'ts. 21 to 59 is items of sadhana, and 60 to 64 is the 5 most important items of devotional service. Next chart is chapter 7 to 12. Detailed explanation of 1 to 64 items. So 1 to 18 in chapter 7, 19. 19 is, I think, offenses. Avoiding offenses. That is 19. 20 to 42, 40 to 43, 47 to 54 to 64. Okay, offenses, sure, it's written here. Techniques of hearing and remembering, servitude, friendship and self-surrender. Chapter 14 is a little deviation, how other spiritual paths like Varnashram, Gyan, Vairagya, wealth and followers, all those things. Chapter 15 is Ragatmika. There is slight difference between Ragatmika and Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is a part of practicing devotional service. Ragatmika is perfected devotional service. So those things, it is a confusion many devotees have. Chapter 15 is Ragatmika and then chapter 16 is Raganuga. That is chapter 16. Chapter 17, 18 is 17, 18 is Bhava Bhakti and chapter 19 is Prema Bhakti, pure devotional service. So now we will move on to the main content of today's discussion, which is the verse Anyabhilashita Shunyam. Where is that verse?
Here it is, definition of pure devotional service.
So I think we'll all recite it together. $80? 86. Yeah, Anyabhilashita verse. 86? 84, na? It's an 82, my it's in 84. How is that? 84, right? Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's in 82 में भी है. It's there in 82 also.
Same, same.
Okay, let us recite it together. अन्याभिलाषिता शून्यं ज्ञानकर्माद्यनावृतम् आनुकूल्येन कृष्णानुशीलनं भक्तिरुत्तमा. Anyabhilashita, ulterior motive. Shunyam, devoid of. Jnana, empiric knowledge. Karma, fruitive activities. Adi, everything else. Anavritam, obscured. Anukulyena, favorable. Krishna, Krishna. Anushilanam, activities following the acharyas. Bhakti, devotion service. Uttama, topmost or pure. So Prabhupada's translation is it there?
Pure devotional service.
In the first paragraph of the chapter, page 3. Let us read. Page 3, first paragraph. Who is supposed to read? Yeah.
Authorized description. Is there a authorized description of Bhakti?
Page number 21, Roman.
The authorized description of bhakti or devotion service following in the footsteps of previous acharya can be summarized in the following statement by Srila Rupa Goswami. The first class devotional service is known by one's tendency to be fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, serving Lord favorably. The purport is that one may also be in the Krishna consciousness unfavorably, but that cannot be counted as per devotional service. Pure devotional service should be free from desire. Pure devotional service should be free from the desire for any material benefit or for sense gratification. As this desire are cultivated through fruitive activities and philosophical speculation. Generally, people are engaged in different activities to get some material profit, while most philosophers are engaged in the proposing transcendental realization through the volumes of words, jugglery, and speculation. Pure devotional service must always be free from such fruitive activities and philosophical speculation. One has to learn Krishna consciousness or pure devotional service from authorized by spontaneous loving service.
So this verse, Jiva Goswami explains, is the Paribhasha Sutra. Heard of this term? Paribhasha Sutra? Paribhasha Sutra. Paribhasha Sutra means the main verse around which the whole book revolves. There's a chief, anything you want to measure, if you find any contradiction in other verses, is it right or wrong, you always compare it with this Paribhasha Sutra. Everything has to be aligned with the meaning of this verse. There is a Paribhasha Sutra in the Srimad Bhagavatam also. You know which one? Paribhasha Sutra of Bhagavatam. That verse, Ete cham shakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Mrudayanti Yuge Yuge. How all those incarnations and plenary forms and expansions of various expansions are originally is Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These are all expansions of and expansions and the expansions of Krishna, who is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And these avatars keep coming to destroy the demons who are disturbing Indra. Indrari Vyakulam Lokam. So this verse, our Acharyas explain, is a Paribhasha Sutra for Srimad Bhagavatam. All the 18,000 verses are there. This one verse is a center piece around which the entire Bhagavatam revolves. Meaning of this verse? Yeah, how expansions, with so many kalas and expansions and other avatars, these are all expansions of Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. And these avatars come to kill the demons who are disturbing Indra. That is the verse, translation of the verse. Every verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam is ultimately meant to prove the meaning of this verse. That's what Jiva Goswami explains. So similarly, every verse of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is to prove this verse, Anya Vilashita Shunyam. And what is the meaning of this verse? First class devotional service is known by one's tendency to be fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, serving the Lord favorably. Another definition given here is Dhanudhar Maharaj gives another definition. In other words, pure devotional service is activity intended to please Krishna without ulterior motive and is not covered by philosophical or fruitive pursuits. So, pure devotional service is known by various terms. In the Bhagavatam, you find Ananya Bhakti, Kevala Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti. Today, Maharaj is talking about Akinchan, Nishkinchan Bhakti. So, all these various terms are used. But why this verse has gained so much importance compared to other verses of Bhagavatam and other literatures? So, our Acharyas explain how this verse is precise in its definition. So, precision, accurate, exact definition that embodies everything, all other qualities of pure devotional service. So, in the Bhagavatam, you find many verses. In the Ajamil section, you find various verses. In the Vritrasur section, Prahlad section, so many verses are there describing pure devotional service. But this verse, it is said that its precision, accuracy, and clarity of definition makes it the most important verse of the Bhakti Rasamrita. And this is Rupa Goswami's own composition. He has composed it. And so many acharyas have analyzed. So many challenges have been put forward to show, no, it could be like this, it could be like this. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur goes into extreme analysis of every word of this verse to prove how it is the exact definition. And Prabhupada also goes into quite a great detail to prove this is the perfect definition of pure devotional service. So we will try to analyze a little bit, whatever we can in our limited time, how this verse should be our template. Templates we have in softwares, Word, and you just follow the template and you just keep adding. So this verse is supposed to be our blueprint for pure devotion. The standard, the gold standard for what I am practicing is, what I am performing is pure or not. So so this verse, the first two lines talk about secondary characteristics of pure devotional service or Tatastha Lakshan. And the third and fourth lines talk about Swarupa Lakshan, primary characteristics of pure devotional service. So Anukulyena Krishnanushilanam Bhakti Ruttama. This is primary characteristic. Anya Vilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Navratam is secondary characteristics. Let us try to see in detail. Prabhupada also quotes another verse towards the end. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur compares. No, this is also pure devotional service, but this is more exact, more precise. So let us see. Let us see the notes. So let us see the Swarupa Lakshan first. Primary characteristics of pure devotional service. Page number 8 of the book in the beginning. I am not exactly going in that order, but that's there. Everything is there inside. So first characteristic of pure devotion is the object of devotion is Krishna. Krishna is the object of devotion. That is the primary. Even among primaries, this is the most important. Primary characteristic of pure devotional service. I am performing devotional service to Krishna. Not to any demigods, not to any pseudo gods, not to any guru, not to any other, this teacher, that teacher, my nation. Their Desh Bhakti is there, the Samaj Bhakti is there, family Bhakti is there. So many multifarious forms of bhaktis are available. Your devotion, how you express your love towards some person or object. When the object is Krishna, then it is qualified to be pure devotion. Otherwise it is not. You may have the purest motive, purest intention, selfless motive, everything could be there. But if the object is not Krishna, it is not pure devotion. As emphatic as that. So that's the primary characteristic of pure devotion service. Now what is Krishna? What Krishna means what? Prabhupada goes on to explain the details. Now the risk is, there is a risk here when we say only Krishna. The risk is it can be too exclusive or too inclusive. Heard of these terms, exclusive and inclusive? Okay, I'll go a little tangent. There are these religious systems in the world. We have Western religious system like Christianity and Islam. Their philosophy is only our God can take you to perfection. Only Jesus is the only path of perfection. Allah is the only path of perfection. Bible or Quran is the only book that can avoid you perfection. This is called exclusivism. One and only path to perfection. And Hinduism, on the other hand, has been too inclusive. Chaitanya Charitamrita calls it pluralism. Too inclusive. Everything, anything you imagine, speculate, do whatever. Everything is devotion. He gives a nice example. He says, say for example, engineering. I am an engineering student. So my engineering college, engineering degree can be obtained only from my college. Engineering, medicine, whatever. This degree can be obtained only through this college. No other college will award you the degree. If you are not a student of this college, you can never become an engineer or doctor. This is what? This is exclusivism. And what is inclusivism? Over-inclusivism? Every building is an engineering college. Any building with 3 floors, 4 floors is an engineering college. You go there, spend your time there 4 years, 5 years, out you come as an engineer or a doctor. And that is over-inclusivism. And what is the balance? There are multiple colleges, multiple buildings that are serving as colleges. Some are good colleges, some are bad colleges, some are low grade, some are high grade, some are prime institutes, premier institutes like IITs. Not all buildings are engineering colleges, and not that only my college is an engineering college. This balance is what is needed. Similarly, so the risk here is, if you say only Krishna should be the object of worship, it may appear to be too exclusive. Why only Krishna? Why not other forms of God? Why not demigods? Why not the nation? Why not my family and society? Why not others? Why only Krishna? Why are you so narrow-minded? This is the biggest accusation a nominal Hindu follower has against ISKCON devotees. Why you are so restricted? Why only so many gods, so many temples in India? Why do you people do not go to other temples? Why only ISKCON temples? Right? This is a big charge against the ISKCON people. And the more you try to explain to them, the more they get confused. So better be cautious when you are offering. In the initial enthusiasm of Krishna consciousness, we talk about Anya Vilashita to our preachers. In the house or in the office, we start displaying pure devotional symptoms. PD, what they call PDS. This is a sarcastic term. Pure devotional symptoms, syndrome. AIDS, PDS, we start displaying pure devotional symptoms. As soon as we come and understand about the philosophy and chant Hare Krishna, and then we understand, oh, it's not so easy. It takes time to develop those ecstatic symptoms. So this can be too exclusive. Only Krishna, only Krishna. So, and what is inclusive? Okay, let us read the purport. Let us read the text. Second paragraph.
Yes, devotional service. Second paragraph.
Okay, one second. You read this section where the page 22, last paragraph.
Okay. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, from there.
Yeah.
In the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami,
You got it?
Lord Chaitanya states that
It is a fortunate person who comes in contact with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. One who is serious about spiritual life is given by Krishna the intelligence to come in contact with a bona fide spiritual master, and then by the grace of spiritual master, one becomes advanced in Krishna consciousness. In this way, whole jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness is directly under the superior energy Krishna and the spiritual master. This has nothing to do with the material world. When we speak of Krishna, we refer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead along with his Maya many expansion. He is expanded by his plenary parts and parcels, his differentiated parts and parcels, and his different energies. Krishna, in other words, means everything and includes everything. Generally, however, we should understand Krishna to mean Krishna and his personal expansions. Krishna expands himself as Baldev, Sankarshan, Vasudev, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Ram, Narsim, and Vara, as well as many other incarnations and innumerable Vishnu expansion. These are described in Srimad Bhagavatam to be as numerous as the uncountable waves. So Krishna includes all such expansion as well as his pure devotees. In the Brahma Samhita it is stated that Krishna's expansion are all complete in eternity, blissfulness and combination.
So what is Krishna? Krishna means Krishna and all the expansions, Vishnu, Varaha, all the Vishnu forms, Narayan forms, the different, the Leela avatars that we have, Jayadev Goswami's 10 incarnations, multiple, the Bhagavatam describes a list of 24 incarnations. Everything is Krishna. And many expansions include all these expansions. It also means the material, what is that? His differentiated parts and parcels. What is differentiated parts and parcels? We living entities. We are also Vibhinnamsha, that is a technical term used. So all these expansions are Swamsha, Krishna's personal expansion, Matsya, Kurma, Varaha and all, Ram and Nasimha. We are all known as Vibhinnamsha, the separated, differentiated expansions. And also Krishna also includes his different energies, which means the material world, the material energies and the spiritual world. So now what is left? If you include all three, what is left? Krishna's Swamsha is there, all the avatars. Vibhinnamsha, the we living entities, and both material energy and spiritual energy. So what is left?
Complete.
So everything.
It's everything.
So what is left? Then why talk about only Krishna? Are you getting the point? When you say devotion only to Krishna, Krishna includes everything then. Nothing is left out. So this definition is too inclusive. Too inclusive. And if you say only Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna, Shamsundar, blackish complexioned, peacock feathered, flute player Krishna, then that is too inclusive. Right? So then Prabhupada gives, he summarizes, he comes to the balance. Generally, you see the paragraph in the between? Generally, however, we should understand Krishna to mean Krishna and his personal expansions. Krishna expands himself as Baladev, Sankarshan, Vasudev, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Rama, Narsimha and Varaha, as well as many other incarnations and innumerable Vishnu expansions. These are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam as to be numerous and uncountable waves. So Krishna includes all such expansions as well as his pure devotees. In the Brahma Samhita it is stated that Krishna expansions are all complete and eternity blissful knowledge. So Krishna means the expansions, the Swamsha expansions and his pure devotees. Not all Vibhinnamsha, not all living entities. Those living entities who are pure devotees, they will be they can be object of pure devotion. They can be the recipients of pure devotion. 2 paragraphs later, Prabhupada adds one more component. If you see down, he also says Krishna can also mean his associates and paraphernalia and his dham, the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He gives the example. So we are not interested in any battlefield. Why are we interested in battlefield of Kurukshetra? Because Krishna played a role. Therefore, battlefield of Kurukshetra is can be an object of pure devotion. Vrindavan can be an object of pure devotion. Ayodhya and other Dwarka can be objects of pure devotion because it is connected to Krishna. So Krishna will mean, when we say Krishna, pure devotion to Krishna means all the Swamsha expansions, all the avatars, his pure devotees, his associates, paraphernalia, and his dhams. This is the balance between true exclusivism and over inclusivism. So so that is Krishna Anushilanam. Krishna, that Krishna means in the verse, Krishna Anushilanam means all these things. Not everything. Not the demigods, not the pseudo philosophers, not any place, not any land. And the Bhagavatam compares people who worship their place of birth, and they are compared to cows and asses. Anyone who worships his land of birth as worshipable, that person is his intelligence is compared to the intelligence of a cow or an ass. It means it is dumb. So people sacrifice their lives, go on big morchas and protest just to liberate their land of birth. They sacrifice their life. There was an American, who was he? He said, when he was hanged, when he was arrested and hanged, put sentenced to death, he said, I have only one life that I can sacrifice for my country. And that became immortal words. Such a great person, so much patriotic, so much ready to sacrifice his life for the country. That's became immortal words. That's there somewhere in America. It's displayed everywhere. So that is not considered pure devotion service. That mood is not pure devotional, because Krishna is not the object. So that is Krishna. No, neither too inclusive, neither too exclusive. Let us now see the word Anushilanam. Krishna Anushilanam. These are all primary characteristics. Krishna, the first characteristic. Second characteristic, it should be Anushilanam. Anushilanam means, let us read the second paragraph of page 21, where we left off. This devotional service out of cultivation, from there. Who's reading? Yeah.
This devotional service is a sort of cultivation. It is not simply inaction for people who like to be inactive or devotee. Their time to silent meditation. There are many different methods for people who want this, but cultivation of Krishna consciousness is different. The particular word used by Srila Rupa Goswami in this connection is Anushilana, or cultivation by following the predecessor teachers, acharyas. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Without activity, consciousness alone cannot help us. All activities may be divided into two classes. One class may be for achieving a certain goal, and the other may be for avoiding some unfavorable circumstance. In Sanskrit, these activities are called pravritti and nivritti, positive and negative action. There are many examples of negative action. For instance, a diseased person has to be cautious and take medicine in order to avoid some unfavorable illness.
Yeah, I forgot to mention one point. When we say Krishna, two things are excluded, and that is the Brahman feature and the Paramatma feature. These cannot be objects of pure devotion. Why? Because when you say Brahma, the unlimited effulgence, it has only one characteristic of Satchidananda, the Sat feature, the eternity feature. It is eternal. Paramatma has Sat and Chit, but both of them are incapable of reciprocating personal emotions with the devotee. Therefore, both of them cannot be objects of, although they are aspects of God, the permanent aspects of God, they are not objects of pure devotion. Only the Supreme Personality of God, Bhagavan, personality of Godhead, that can be object of pure devotion. So Anushilanam, Prabhupada makes this point of cultivation. It has to be active, not static. Not just I think about pure devotion, my mind is there, which is important, but it is a it has to be action, practical action. That action has to be sanctioned by the predecessor acharyas. And these activities are classified into two. So if we have so Anushilanam or devotional activities can be divided into two. Pravritti and Nivritti. These are positive and negative, or do's and don'ts. And these are all, both of them are done by body, mind and words.
The summary is strong. So most important point here is it should be sanctioned by the previous acharyas. It is not whimsical, not speculated, not imagined. It has to be sanctioned. It has to be in accordance with the teachings of our acharyas. So best way is to follow the instructions of the spiritual master, instructions of devotees, whoever our superior is, and that becomes Anushilanam. Anu here means following. Anusaran, we say? Anusaran, right? Anusaran is following. Following in the footsteps. Following the footsteps doesn't mean blindly following, with proper understanding. So positive and negative, we have in ISKCON our 4 regulative principles, and that is negative actions and the ABCD, association, books, chanting, diet. This can be categorized as body and mind. Positive actions, body, mind and words. Right. Any comments, any thoughts, anyone wants to add?
How that, since that you told now 4 principles are negative, how it becomes negative?
Which one?
That 4 principles.
We should avoiding them. Nivritti mein, avoiding meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, gambling. Right? Okay, let us move ahead. So this is Anushilanam. Next paragraph, Prabhupada gives another characteristic of Anushilanam, or the activities, how it is under the control of the internal energy. Who's reading? Who read? Yeah. Page 21. No, last paragraph.
Those who are cultivating spiritual life and executing devotional service are always engaged in activity. Such activity can be performed with the body or with the mind. Thinking, feeling and willing are all activities of the mind, and when we will to do something, the activity sometimes to be manifest by the gross bodily senses. Thus, in our mental activities, we should always try to think of Krishna and try to plan how to please him. Following in the footsteps of the great acharyas, and the personal spiritual master. There are activities of the body, activities of the mind, and activities of speech. A Krishna conscious person engages his words in preaching the glories of the Lord. This is called Kirtana. And by his mind, a Krishna conscious person always thinks of the activities of the Lord, as he is speaking on the battlefield of Kurukshetra or engaging in his various pastimes in Vrindavana with his devotees. In this way, one can always think of the activities and pastimes of the Lord. This is the mental culture of Krishna consciousness.
Mental culture is important. Where our minds absorbed, and that determines the quality of our devotional service. Other physically we may be acting so many things, doing so many services, but your mind is absorbed, not absorbed in that mood, then it is the quality, the purity of the devotional service reduces. The more we are absorbed, like in offering arti, when we offer the arti, deity worship, so many things are there. We offer, so every item represents one element of material nature, like the cloth, the flower, and incense, the dhoop, they refer to the earth element. And then the fire represents the fire, the lamp represents the fire element, argya represents the water, the chamar and peacock feather represent the air, and the bell ringing and the conch blown is the ether element, sound element. The mantras that we chant represents the mind element, mantras and the mood. And the purpose behind why I am offering the arti represents the intelligence element. And when you offer Dandavat Pranam, that is the ego, offering the ego element. And the Pujari himself represents the assembled worshippers. So everything is offered. Body, mind and words. Body, mind, intelligence and words. Everything. Mantra also represent. So everything has a purpose. So that is a positive. Body, mind and words included. So mental culture has a place. Externally we may not be able to identify who is senior, who is junior, simply by the external action. A junior may probably perform much better than senior in terms of the details, like dressing the deities, for example. There are so many new devotees, non-initiated devotees, who are so expert in putting the turban on the deity's head and decorations and flowers, so colorful ways. And we have some senior devotees who do such simple half an hour they come out. That's not a criteria to judge who is more advanced or not. How much we are absorbed in the mind and words and thoughts, that's the real test for pure devotion. So both body, mind and words are pravritti and nivritti, both include involvement of body, mind and words. Staying away from certain things and indulging in certain things, practicing certain things. So that is Anushilanam. Should we have one more paragraph? I think it's Anushilanam. Yes, next paragraph.
Similarly, we can offer many services with our bodily activities, but all such activities must be in relationship with Krishna. This relationship is established by connecting itself with the bona fide spiritual master, who is the direct representative of Krishna in disciplic succession. Therefore, the execution of Krishna conscious activities with the body should be directed by the spiritual master and then performed with faith. The connection with the spiritual master is called initiation. From the date of initiation by the spiritual master, the connection between Krishna and a person cultivating Krishna consciousness is established. Without initiation by a bona fide spiritual master, the actual connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed.
This is a standard difference between an ordinary Hindu practitioner who claims to be religious and sadhaka who is seriously pursuing a spiritual path. That initiation formality is important because that shows, that's where you prove your commitment towards the process. Otherwise, in India, there are so many people who may be more religious, more devoted, more committed also, more pure than an ISKCON devotee could be. A new sadhaka could be struggling with his regulative principles and his thoughts may be wandering everywhere. And you might find some old people who have been, especially in South, I don't know, even North India maybe, in South India I see so many people who are so pakka, getting up early in the morning, cleaning, taking bath on time, there is habits, eating habits, dressing habits, regularly visiting the temple, everything pakka about their daily schedule. But if you talk about the real conclusions of the scriptures, then they are not so favorable. But they will worship demigods and then they will do other things. So that connection with the spiritual master and practicing Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, that's the hallmark of a person who is serious about advancing in spiritual life. Not the externals. Externals are important, but they are secondary. Primary thing is, if you see the 64 items of devotional service, first 5 items are connected with spiritual master. First 5 all connected with initiation and spiritual master. So that is initiation. Prabhupada is emphasizing here how that's when it becomes anushilanam, proper anushilanam. You are regularly following the instruction of the spiritual master, not whimsical, not imagined or speculated. So yes, next paragraph, continuing with Anushilanam. Yes.
This cultivation of Krishna consciousness is not material. The Lord has 3 general energies, namely the external energy, the internal energy, and the marginal energy. The living entities are called marginal energy, and the material cosmic manifestation is the action of the external or material energy. Then there is the spiritual world, which is manifestation of the internal energy. The living entities, who are called marginal energy, perform material activities when acting under the inferior external energy, and when they engage in activities under the internal spiritual energy, their activities are called Krishna conscious. This means that those who are great souls or great devotees do not act under the spell of material energy, but act instead under the protection of the spiritual energy. Any activities done in devotional service or in Krishna consciousness are directly under the control of spiritual energy. In other words, energy is a sort of strength, and this strength can be spiritualized by the mercy of both the bona fide spiritual master and Krishna.
This is that verse, the Gita verse. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashrita bhajantyananya manaso kyatva bhutadim abhyayam. Daivim prakritim ashrita. Daivi, Prabhupada calls it the internal energy. Mahatma, real great souls, advanced devotees take shelter of Daivi Prakriti. And our Acharyas call the Daivi Prakriti as the shelter of Radharani. Although the name Radharani doesn't come in the verse, but Daivi Prakriti, personification of the Daivi Prakriti is Radharani. So that I think is the finishing of Anushilanam. Any comments, any questions anyone has before we move on to the next word of the verse? So Krishna is done, Anushilanam is done. 2 primary characteristics of pure devotion. Third characteristic is Anukulyen, favorably. Any comments anyone has? Any clarification you need?
If you can just connect this shloka with this, if you just
Which?
write down that. This we are talking basically this about this, Anya Abhirasham Sunni. So how to connect this thing, first 2 lines and
every line you won't be able to connect it with the verse.
Not every line.
You can say the paragraph theme.
The theme wise only.
Theme of the paragraph you can take.
So like which one is
So now we are with the first the 3 paragraphs that we did were Anushilanam.
first 3, huh?
The first was Krishna. Sorry, first was a definition. Page 21, the first paragraph was a definition, the translation of the verse. Next 3 are next 4. Next 4 paragraphs are Anushilanam. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Next 4 paragraphs are Anushilanam.
इंट्रोडक्शन में वो
Page 21 of introduction.
21 बोला है The first one is that is translation. The first one.
21 में the first one.
First paragraph is just a translation of the verse. Overview. Next 4 paragraphs are Anushilanam. Fifth we already saw. Fifth is Krishna. Fifth and sixth and seventh also. Alright? So let us go to that verse, that paragraph, page 23, where we left off.
Devotional service.
Continuing with Krishna. Yes, who is reading?
Devotional service means to prosecute Krishna conscious activities which are favorable to the transcendental pleasure of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. And any activities which are not favorable to the transcendental pleasure of the Lord cannot be accepted as devotional service. For example, great demons like Ravana, Kamsa and Hiranyakashipu were always thinking of Krishna, but they were thinking of him as their enemy. This sort of thinking cannot be accepted as Bhakti or Krishna consciousness.
So simply thinking is not enough. It's also talking about anukulya, favorable intent. The word is not used here. How you think of Krishna, favorably with love and devotion. Krishna or Kamsa, Ravan, Hiranyakashipu were also thinking of Krishna, but their mood was not favorable. Their mood was not loving. So it is not bhakti. Yes, next. Next paragraph.
Impersonal sometimes misunderstand devotional service in such a way that they divide Krishna from his Paraparanya and pastimes. For example, the Bhagavad Gita is spoken on the battlefield of the Kurukshetra, and the impersonalists say that although Krishna is of the interest, the battlefield of the Kurukshetra is not. The devotees, however, also know that battlefield of Kurukshetra by itself has nothing to do with their business. But in addition, they know that Krishna does not mean just Krishna alone. He is always with his associates in the paraphernalia. For instance, if someone says, give something to eat to man with the weapons, the eating process is done by a man and not by the weapons. Similarly, in Krishna consciousness, a devotee may be interested in the paraphernalia and the locations, such as battlefield of the Kurukshetra, which are associated with Krishna. But he is not concerned with simply any battlefield. He is concerned with Krishna, his speech, his instructions, etc. It is because Krishna is there that the battlefield is so important.
Done? So this also talking about anukulya, favorable intent, and just as we saw, it also talks about 2 extra things: battlefield, any dham, and the associates, paraphernalia. Paraphernalia can mean any paraphernalia. The weapons and the utensils, the cloth, the dress, they're all part of paraphernalia. We take it as maha, the garlands offered, everything is part of paraphernalia. So devotion to those objects is also a part of pure devotion service. It's not dead matter. It said Sankarshan, Baldev, Balramji expands into these paraphernalia that Krishna uses, the deities uses. So anukulya is also a part of this discussion. Before we go to the next paragraph, okay, one thing on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, how there is this famous philosopher, I think it was Radhakrishnan or some other, he said these philosophers compare battlefield of Kurukshetra to our body. Heard of this example? Prabhupada gives this often. The body is like the battlefield, the 5 senses are like the 5 Pandavas,
horses.
The 5 horses, and the good thoughts are the Pandavas, the bad thoughts are the Kauravas, and you have to kill the bad thoughts with the good thoughts. So ultimately, although this example sounds good, interesting, and also practical also, but the problem with such example is it
it reduces the importance of the historical event that actually happened. When you focus too much on the analogous example and such derived meanings from a verse or from a point, and the risk is you reduce the importance of the actual history event that happened. So then eventually you conclude, oh, Pandavas and Kauravas are all mythological characters, Krishna is a fictional character, and these things never happened. Lessons are good, and then they even glorify Vyasdev and other writers, saying these people had fantastic imaginations. Their imaginary power is excellent. Although it's all bogus, and they appear to glorify, but indirectly they are criticizing. And this is a contribution of the Indologists, British Indologists headed by Max Muller and Monier Williams. They are big dictionary. They still Indian schools are teaching them. Only in India this happens. This happens only in India. And all other schools, even in Britain, this is not taught. Western university, they don't teach. They have rejected all this Indologist theory, how the Aryan invasion theory, and these things are there. So the problem with these derived meanings, secondary meanings, is the primary meaning is reduced in importance, and you focus too much on this analogy, and this sounds very exciting. It's nice to quote, very impressive, and but the history is lost. Historical importance is lost. So battlefield of Kurukshetra did exist. Battle of Kurukshetra did happen. Kauravas, Pandavas did exist. Krishna did exist, and they won the war. Pandavas won the war, and Kauravas were defeated. And then extra meaning you may derive to your practical life, that these are anarthas and these are good thoughts, bad dog, good dog, whatever you want to derive. That's secondary. But the historical importance should never be minimized. Another thing that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a very interesting analysis of Anukulya thing. So favorable intent, pleasing Krishna, serving Krishna with a favorable intent. He gives two examples of, okay, no need to write. He gives two examples of, one is Chanur Mushtik. Know this story? How Krishna, when he entered Mathura, the whole wrestling match was organized by Kamsa, and two wrestlers, Chanur and Mushtik, were supposed to fight with Krishna and Balaram. So after defeating Kuvalaya Pede and Florist and Washerman, finally they entered the palace of Kamsa. And there this was the main event. By Krishna and Balaram were invited to Mathura from Vrindavan. And then Chanur and Mushtik are there and they are fighting. The fight has begun, and Chanur and Mushtik are punching and hitting Krishna and Balaram. They are also fighting against them. And finally Chanur and Mushtik are killed. So it is said Krishna enjoyed fighting with Chanur. Krishna and Balaram enjoyed fighting with Chanur and Mushtik, hitting the punches, punching them and pushing them, throwing them down on the floor. Krishna derived pleasure out of these activities. So Chakravarti Thakur raises a question: can we call the activities of Chanur and Mushtik to be pure devotional service? Because Krishna got pleasure. So what is the answer? Yes or no?
No.
Why?
With intention was not there.
Intention was not to please Krishna. Although Krishna got the pleasure, the Chanur and Mushtik never intended to please Krishna. So therefore, it is not pure devotion. On the other hand, he gives another example. Yashoda, when Krishna is stealing butter and Krishna is crying for milk, so that Damodar Leela, Yashoda is feeding milk, and suddenly she realizes there is a pot inside on the stove, and then he puts Krishna down, runs into the kitchen and adjusts all those things. So in that moment, Krishna is displeased. He gets angry, starts crying, and then breaks the pot, and the whole Damodar Leela happened. So Krishna got angry at that time. So apparently Krishna is displeased. So will Yashoda's act be considered not an act of pure devotion? Why?
Just for to please the
ultimately her intention was to please Krishna. The milk that was boiling inside and it was boiling over, that milk was collected from so many Padmagandha cows, and that milk would have been used for preparing sweets or some other items, ultimately for Krishna's pleasure. So although Krishna was displeased when she put him down, but the intention was to please Krishna. Therefore Yashoda's act is
an act of pure devotion.
Then how we take it Putana example? Krishna gave him the position of mother.
Yeah. So therefore
her intention was wrong.
Yeah. So I think Putana initially, somewhere I heard that initially she had, when she saw Krishna, I think she is Ratnavali from Vaman Leela, right? Ratnavali, na? Bali Maharaj's sister, right? Yeah, she is Putana. And when she saw Vaman Dev, the dwarf, she developed a desire to, that's why she came as Putana, and she had that minutest desire to serve. So that Krishna recognized, and then that verse Ahobakiyam Stanakalakutam, she got elevated as a nurse in the spiritual world, assistant to Yashoda. So it's not exactly she had no intention. Some little intention Krishna recognized and magnified it and gave her the reward. So these two examples are given. Another thing that our acharyas explain is Anya. What is that? Okay, that's a different point. So this is Anukulya. Intention is important. Anukulyena Krishnanushīlanam. Favorably, the service should be done with a favorable mood to please Krishna. Simply the act is not enough. Even if the act is not pleasing to Krishna, if the intention is to please Krishna, that act is considered an act of pure devotion. Like Chandur and Mushtika or Yashoda. Okay, so let us move ahead. Next paragraph. The definition of a pure, who's reading?
The definition of a pure devotee, as given by Rupa Goswami, is in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, can be summarized thus: his service is favorable and is always in relation to Krishna. In order to keep the purity of such Krishna conscious activities, one must be freed from all material desires and philosophical speculation. Any desire except for the service of the Lord is called material desire, and philosophical speculation refers to the sort of speculation which ultimately arrives at a conclusion of voidism or impersonalism. This conclusion is useless for a Krishna conscious person. Only rarely by philosophical speculation can one reach the conclusion of worshipping Vasudeva Krishna. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita itself. The ultimate end of philosophical speculation then must be Krishna, with the understanding that Krishna is everything, the cause of all causes, and that one should therefore surrender unto him. If this ultimate goal is reached, then philosophical advancement is favorable. But if the conclusion of philosophical speculation is voidism or impersonalism, that is not bhakti.
So this is the explanation of Anyabhilashita Shunyam. No other desire except the desire to please Krishna. So some Chakravarti Thakur raises an argument. What if some people may challenge? Why Anyabhilasha Shunyam is not used? Why Anyabhilashita Shunyam is used? And he says Anyabhilasha Shunyam means no desire. And he says a living entity can never have no desire. Desire is an integral part of a spirit soul, and something he has to desire. No desire means no material desire, and the desire only to please Krishna or his devotees, Krishna Guru and the devotees. So that is Anyabhilash. So Anyabhilashita, ta means pure devotional service can also include the desire for basic bodily maintenance. Like for example, self-preservation. If a devotee is moving around and suddenly he faces a danger, someone attacks him with a robber attacks him with a knife or a gun. So in that moment of crisis, one may call out to Krishna. Krishna, save me. So that calling out to Krishna is not intended to please Krishna. That act is to protect oneself. It's a self-preservation act. So that can also be included in pure devotion. Although the intention is not to please Krishna. So basic bodily things, eating, so we may eat prasad or whatever. Why do we eat? To maintain the body, so that the body can be used to serve Krishna. Sleeping again, similarly. Sleep so that we take good. So sleeping in itself is not an act of pure devotion. It's a waste of time. 6 hours, 7 hours, how many hours we may sleep. But if the sleep is done so that we can get rejuvenated and then serve Krishna better, then the act of sleeping is also considered an act of pure devotion and the act of self-preservation. Like Draupadi calling out to Krishna, it's not meant to please Krishna, but that act is considered an act of pure devotion, self-preservation, self-protection. So that Anyabhilashita, the ta things, includes all these acts. That's what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains. Otherwise, simply Anyabhilasha, only always to please Krishna, will exclude then these things. Is that clear? So, philosophical speculation. Jnana karma di anavritam. Jnana karma di anavritam means any desire to accumulate knowledge or to accumulate fruitive results. This is a quite detailed topic, but we need to understand this very important point. Any spiritual practitioner, as soon as we start practicing spiritual life, we may get caught up with other desires. Like, for example, the desire to become famous as a scholar, famous as a good singer, anything, any specific skill within this realm of devotional service can make us proud. So we may be doing big wonderful projects, big services, but we may forget that the act is meant to please Krishna. So primarily these are generally two common pitfalls a devotee may face. Jnana, desire to accumulate knowledge, study various scriptures, so many commentaries, and become a scholar and impress others by his scholarship. That is a pitfall in devotional service. And karma. Karma means depending too much on non-devotional acts in the name of devotion. And Dhanodhar Maharaj gives an example of astrology, for example. We as devotees may take shelter of astrological calculations and find out what's going to happen in the future, marriages or any other. Before taking any project, we may check the astrological calculations and check out. थोड़ा 10 मिनट लगेगा. So in the end, we may depend too much on astrological calculations. We may forget the purpose behind it, and that risk is there. That becomes a karma adi anavritam. Adi anavritam, other things that can cover up our tendency to perform pure devotion. Or offering of pindadan in Shraddha ceremony upon the death of someone. If we feel, if I don't do pindadan, then my ancestors or whoever has passed away, he may not benefit, or I may face some reaction if I don't do this. This fear of getting a reaction if I don't do either astrology or pindadan or whatever, that fear is a symptom of lack of faith in bhakti. No harm in doing, but if it is done out of fear or desire for something extra which is not available in bhakti, then it is not a sign of pure devotion. Is that clear? So astrology can be a big trap for many devotees. And there are many devotees who do check their calculations. Or like in Krishna Balram opening, when Prabhupada was there, at the time of opening, he invited so many local brahmanas and pujaris, and just to convince them that this is a proper temple. So many Vrindavan brahmanas and other mahants attended the event. They invited, and they were doing all the rituals of yajna and so many other things. And Prabhupada instructed his disciples to continue kirtan at one side of the temple. After everything got over, he said, this Sankirtan was the actual installation event, ceremony. Other thing was just a formality. Just to please the local people. Because otherwise they will say, oh, ye to Angrez Mandir. Anyway, even now they call Angrez Mandir. And they won't recognize it as a bona fide temple. So just to convince them and please them, we just did the formality. This Sankirtan was the main thing that brought Krishna Balram into their Ashtavigraha form. Otherwise, we have nothing to do with all these external rituals. Especially in Kali Yuga, holy name is the only medium of in Sankirtan, the Yuga Dharma for this age. So Pindadan, Lord Chaitanya, there's an event of Lord Chaitanya visiting Gaya for offering Pindadan to his departed father, Jagannath Mishra. And that was just a formality. He was not dependent on that act. So, depends on our motive. Motive is what defines or characterizes our act. If it is pure devotion or mixed devotion, pure or impure devotion. So, Anyabhilashita means no other desire except to please Krishna. No desire for accumulating pious credits. Devotees may fall in the trap of accumulating too much money in the name of offering it to the temple and then performing better devotion service. I may go abroad, earn more money, and then I can spend more money in devotion service. And then when we go abroad, we may earn money, but then that money doesn't actually pour in. And then it is utilized in our own sense gratification. And we may plan in the future, I may do, the desire may be there, but it doesn't turn into action. So some benefit will definitely come out of it, but it can trap us more. And jnana for accumulating studying so many books, and devotees may sometimes even fall into the trap of studying so many management books, thinking this management principle can be applied in devotion service, in my service, whatever service I am handling, whatever project I am handling, and we may lose faith. It is not there in the Bhagavatam, it is not there in the Gita. Something outside the scriptures. Scriptures are good, but not practical advice is not available here, we may feel. For that, I need to refer to other books, other things, economic time, whatever, it could be anything. So that's how the risk is there, where we can get deviated from the path of pure devotion. So jnana karma dhyana avratam means nothing, no ulterior motive, no ulterior desire, no material desire behind the performance of pure devotion service. So jnana and karma, Prabhupada sometimes adds the yoga also, the desire to accumulate mystic perfections. As a devotee advances in spiritual life and does tapasya and follows the principles, he acquires mystic powers. Mystic powers doesn't simply mean yogic powers, it can also mean the ability to influence people, change their minds, convince them of their thoughts. These are all attractive powers, and we can impress people by our powers. And it can also mean the Ashtasiddhis like Anima, Lagima, all those things will come in the future, becoming lighter than the lightest, heavier than the heaviest, flying and acquiring objects from any part of the world. And these are all mystic powers, and many yogis in the Himalayas have. If you read the Journey Home, Maharaj talks about someone levitating suddenly. Suddenly a group of Babas are sitting, and then he is also part of this, and suddenly one person starts lifting up, levitating, and everyone is unaffected. So होता रहता है उनके बार-बार. Maharaj is seeing this for the first time, and he's surprised. And then he comes down and someone else goes up. This keeps happening. So these yogic powers are not uncommon, especially among the yogis of Himalayas. In the Western countries, you have black art, black magic. These are all subtle powers, which can be misused, of course. But the desire to accumulate these powers can distract us from the path of pure devotion, Krishna consciousness. So we need to be careful about that. Let us have finished the last two paragraphs.
Desireless?
Not desireless. Desire only to please Krishna.
Positive desire.
Only the desire to please Krishna. Any other material desire has to be rejected or converted. Huh? Fully. Yeah. Anya Abhilashita Shunyam. Zero. At least that's our aspiration. We may not be in that position, right?
Aspiration.
Yes. Who is reading next?
Karma or fruitive activities are sometimes understood to be ritualistic activities. There are many persons who are very much attracted by the ritualistic activities described in the Vedas. But if one becomes attracted simply to ritualistic activities without understanding Krishna, his activities are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Actually, Krishna consciousness can be based simply on hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. Described in the Srimad Bhagavatam are 9 different processes, besides which everything done is unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Thus, one should always be guarding against fall downs.
Yes, next. Yes, Prabhu.
Srila Rupa Goswami is also mentioned in this definition of Bhakti, the word is Jnana Karma. This karma, the repetitive work consists of activities which are unable to help one attain to pure devotional service. Many forms of so-called renunciation are also not devotional service.
Yeah. So the 9 form, the 9 limbs, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Mandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. These 9 limbs are activities of pure devotion. If our whole focus of any other activity is centered around these 9, to fulfill these 9, then it is favorable. Otherwise it is risky business.